Hey y'all, welcome to the Filling Station. It's been an interesting day in the market. So in this video, we're going to just do like a market recap of Tesla today. Tesla was interesting to trade, let's say that. But first, y'all, let me give my disclaimer. I am not a financial advisor. I just enjoy teaching people how to build generational wealth. And yes, the stock market is just one of those avenues. So this video is for educational purposes only. But if you could please like, share, comment, subscribe, all of that, y'all, because we learn and we grow together. So with that being said, let's get started. So if you traded Tesla today in either direction, congratulations. Let's say that, right? I like to start with my 30-minute chart, just, looking at it from the 30-minute standpoint. We kind of highlight our trouble places in the morning pre-market, support and resistance simply. And once I mark those, I go to my smaller time frame, which is normally my 5-minute or my 2-minute. So looking at Tesla from this perspective of the 5-minute chart, we traded sideways for a while. The bell rung, we went up and we bounced off, it's 322 up to this high here of 329.42, and as you can see, we knew that we could possibly have trouble right there. I'm going to see if I can make that a little bit bigger because I want to show you how it is so important that we mark those areas. And Tesla came up to this area only to get rejected and to come back down. Now, the green line that you see here is, and this red line kind of goes together. It is the first 15 minutes of the day, which is the opening range breakouts. I call it the ORB high and the ORB low. So this red line will be the low and the green line will be the high. It is automatically generated on my chart every single day. First 15 minutes of the day kind of gives me a support and a resistance, right? So looking at that, Tesla came up to this 329.42 only to come back down. And as you can see, y'all, we were kind of like going sideways. We didn't know who was going to win this war, up, down type thing. I do not trade this. Why? Because, sometimes you can get in for a scalp like buying at this double bottom here, but you have to be in and getting out at the right time, because staying in it longer than overstaying your welcome, you could have very well got stopped out. So if that works for you, and if it worked for you today, congratulations. Me, I do not like to trade this up down thing. So one of the things that I did notice with Tesla today is we did hit a high of this 332.56. So after trading this little thing here, this sideways movement, and for us to move up and hit this 332.56, another thing I wanted to point out is look how close we are to the line that I have marked, y'all. It is so important that we mark our support and our resistance, even if we don't use other moving averages or anything like that as far as indicators, but it's helpful to just use your eye. A friend of mine used to say, he only uses his eye, and that's just support and resistance, watching those things. So I wanted to point that out. Not really important, right? So again, Tesla hit this 332.56 area here. We knew we could possibly have trouble there, only to get rejected. What's interesting is this long wick that I saw here. That tells me that we have a trouble, in my opinion, right? So the next two candles were kind of like a sideways movement. The next candle, the sideways movement. We have problem here. So we came back to the downside. We broke under a level that I have marked here at 328.35, only to come back down to the gathering spot. It seems like Tesla traded in this zone here. Let's see. I'm going to zoom back out so that we can see that. Tesla traded in this zone at, the resistance was around the 327.32. Support, we could say, was here at the 325.10. So let me see if I can make that a little bit visible for us. That wasn't it. So it, again, traded in this zone. Support here, somewhere around, see where candles are just coming back to this line. We'll use this one here. Price came back to this 325.10, and we could say around this level of 327.32. We traded in this zone, broke out of that, only to come back down. But what was interesting is coming back to the downside once we broke out of what was a strong support area. In my opinion, at 325.10 was a support area that had been holding us up for pretty much for a long time. So when we broke out of that, it was like, okay, something's different with Tesla. So we broke out to the downside, only to come back down to another area that we have as a support area, came back and tried to break through that area. It didn't make it through that time, so we got rejected here, only to continue back to the downside. So if you were able to get in at the right time today, it could have been a very profitable day, you know, especially with buying off of this high here, 332.56 down to, I think we closed at 319.11, so that would have been a nice decline if, again, getting in at the right time, out at the right time. However, if you tried to trade this type of situation right here, you know, it is challenging. Let's say that. It is very, very challenging. And I always say some days may not be a trading day. Some days just may be a learning day. What can I learn from the market today versus trying to jump in and get a trade? And sometimes those things that we learn is more valuable than trying to go in and put a price tag on, you know, again. So let's look at the SPY. Again, the SPY was a really good trade if you were able to trade that today. It looks as if we came off of this bottom down here around the 599.75 area. We bounced from there. We got back above that 5 EMA, as you can see, and we went back to the upside. So if you were able to get in at the open right off of this bottom up to this high here, let's see, the high of this candle is 603.62. That would have been a nice trade. Again, I don't like to trade the sideways movement here, so I definitely would not have wanted to be in that. So again, if you traded the SPY today, I say congratulations. What's interesting is to always try to go back and find that zone that it stayed in for a long time today, so that we saw resistance for the SPY today around the 603.57, and the support range was somewhere right here, possibly around the 602.74. So 602.74 to the 603.57 was the range that we were trading in this area for a long time. You know, after we bounced off of the VWAP, let's say that we came back to this area. So tomorrow I would definitely, you know, kind of like keep that in mind. So when I'm, you know, charting and paying attention, you know, looking over my charts, I need to remember that 603.57. Why? Because we had trouble there on yesterday. So if by chance we open above this, it becomes our support instead of our resistance. So that's something to be mindful of. Now, again, I don't like to predict the market. I just go back and look over the things that I saw and remember the number, those places that, you know, that held us up and where we had trouble. This is definitely one of those places for the SPY. Again, I will be watching that 603.57 as resistance and that 602.74 as support. If we open under that 602.74, that would be interesting to watch, because again, we came all the way down here to the 599 area. I always say, y'all trade what you see. Now, one of the things, I'm going to go back to Tesla. One of the things that I wanted to point out with Tesla is I marked a level here, which is the 318. I keep saying 5 because we were coming from the SPY, but 318.85. As you can see here, Tesla we came here a few times. We broke through it only to give us a hammer, take us back up, but guess what, we didn't break back above this area. So what's with the 318.85? That's going to be a number that I remember tomorrow for Tesla. If we open above that, higher than that, you know, let's say higher than this, higher than the, you know, 320.04, because that's kind of like the zone that Tesla was trading in. So if we open above this 320.04 area, we have broken through, you know, the resistance area from the zone that I had marked. Now, if we open under the 318.85, I'm going to use that 318.85 as my resistance. And as of now, that 316.86 is my support. So I said all of that to say that 318.85 is going to be a number that I pay very close attention to tomorrow for Tesla, to see if we're going to open above or below that number. Now, keep in mind, it is down after hours, considering we did close at 319.11. I'm going to watch that 318.85 for Tesla. And let's see for the SPY. I think it was a 603. Somewhere around the 602, 603 area, I need to watch for the SPY. So the high here was 603.57, and then it was the 60 here, 602.74. So I need to remember those numbers or pay very close attention to that tomorrow when I'm doing my charting. And yeah, so this is, again, y'all, there's so many different ways to make money in the market, and what's challenging, y'all, is trying to figure out a strategy that works best for you and knowing when to trade and when not to trade. Again, I say it so often, every day it may not be a trading day, or what you like to trade, like me with Tesla and the SPY, may not be it's not time to trade right now. Let's just sit back and see what's going on with it, and then making sure I get in at the right time and out at the right time, because trying to trade things like this, you can lose a lot of money, like up down type thing. And looking at the MACD, I always like to look at the MACD, but it's how the lines are so close together and how they're crossing and very, very close together. I like to see mine fanned out or a little bit spread out. Even in this situation here, it's a little bit closer than what I like to see. Now, once it starts to separate, I do like to see that. But again, y'all, go back, study your charts, review the day, make sure you understand what you did wrong, if you did wrong, what you did right. Remember those things, and sometimes it's helpful to journal. Journal your trading day, or what happened, what you noticed, that news come out, how did the stock react to that. Those are things that it just helps you learn along your trading journey. So y'all, this is my recap for the day. I'm gonna try to start doing that a little bit more, but today Tesla was just interesting, and I just say it so often. Tesla does what Tesla does. We came off of a 332.56 high all the way down to a 318 low, even though we closed at 319.11. Let's see. Yes, so again, I hope these videos are very, very helpful, y'all. I hope that everyone had a very productive day today. If not, we learn from our mistakes, we go back, review those things, and try to do better. So with that being said, y'all, if you could, please like, share, comment, subscribe, y'all. We learn and we grow together. Until next time, be blessed as well as a blessing unto others.